Guys, what's up? How's it going? It's John, and thank you so much for subscribing, tuning in, and of course, turning on that notification bell. That means a lot. Thank you, guys. I want to talk about and take a moment to talk about video games and what they mean to me in my life. I know video games have different meanings to many different people, so I just want to step back and share with you what they mean to me. I'm really curious what they mean to you guys. Please leave a comment, share your thoughts. I read those, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to do so. So growing up as a kid, I played, my very first system I ever played was the ColecoVision. Blown away, played Smurf Rescue, still fun. I remember being like 4 or 5 years old playing it, maybe even younger than that, maybe 3.5. And it was like one of my first memories as a kid was playing the ColecoVision. My neighbor growing up had an Atari 2600, and then eventually got the 5200, Atari 5200 that is. And I remember that day my mom went back from Price Club, which is now Costco, and I think it was Christmas of like '86 or something like that. She came back and purchased a Nintendo Entertainment System, and from that was the moment in my life. That was like the turning point for me for video games when I brought home the NES. My neighbor behind me, I moved houses, of course, several times throughout childhood, and the neighbor behind me had a Genesis. And I remember playing Altered Beast, and remember going to his house playing Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time and being like mind blown. And then the 16-bit era, I felt very fortunate to grow up in a good time of video games where we had the 16-bit wars between Genesis and Super Nintendo. And I feel like kind of we're missing some of that today, to be quite honest, with the rivalries. Not to say that the rivalry between Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft isn't there, but it was definitely different back in the 80s and 90s. So for me, video games definitely bring a sense of nostalgia for me, heavy nostalgia, especially the retro games, right? Playing the 8-bit games, the 16-bit games. One of the reasons I wanted to join ColecoVision Games and be a part of that company is because we make classic games in the classic style format, right? So I want to kind of re-bring that feeling for those who, for the first time playing a game, can remember it by, kind of similar to why I grew up as a kid. So that's an important part of me growing up for sure. Now, when I was a kid, I'll be honest with you, I was picked on at school. I think many of us, there's bullies, and I'm sure maybe there's some of you out there that have been picked on as a kid as well growing up, and it's truly unfortunate. Now, I was very fortunate to have parents and friends who were supportive during this process, but one of my ways to get away was to escape and play video games. One game in particular was Street Fighter II for the Super Nintendo. I would go home, I remember vividly, I would go home and play Street Fighter II, and I'd play as Ryu. He'd be my guy, Ryu, and when I was battling these guys, making these, I'd pretend that when I was playing Guile or I was playing Blanc or whoever it might be, that they were the bully. I know it kind of sounds weird saying that, but it made me feel better about myself because it gave me a way to release my negative energy, if you want to call that, my frustration through the video game. So in many ways, it helped me escape, it helped me refocus, helped me get away. After school, in middle school, after school, they had a Super Nintendo, and I'd play Super Mario Kart all the time. We played battle mode, we'd play races, a lot of fun memories. Now growing up through high school and college, of course, that's when I got into the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 and Xbox, the original Xbox. And then today games still mean a lot to me as well, because for me now I get an opportunity to share my gaming experience with my twin boys at home, right? And that's an amazing opportunity. The first game I introduced them to was Super Mario Brothers for the NES. And downstairs in my house, I have a PlayStation 10 arcade. I introduced them to that, so they were able to expose them to one of my favorite games of all time, which is Super Mario Bros. 3. And I also introduced them to the classics, the ColecoVision, the Atari 2600. And of course, they're playing the Switch now and all modern games too, but I wanted to introduce them to the classics so they can appreciate. Now, I'm certainly not forcing them to enjoy games I like. There's certain games that I enjoyed growing up with and they don't really connect with necessarily, right? And that's okay. But I kind of see it as the same way as my dad when growing up with music. My dad is a big into music, Rolling Stones, Beatles. He exposed me to that music as a young kid, and I'm so thankful for that. And so it's an opportunity for me to bond with my dad. Every time I listen to that music, it reminds me of my father, right? And there's times where, I hear music, it kind of throws you into a certain memory, right? It throws me into that time, and that's how it is with my dad. Moody Blues and the classics, right? And so I'm trying to instill that into my kids. So now as a parent, as an adult, games are important to me to instill in my kids. I don't play much online gaming, I'll be honest with you. I play here and there, but most of what I do is a local game, right? So I'll play Smash, or I'll play Mario Kart locally with the family or friends, what have you. I might play maybe Mortal Kombat here and there, the new one, but I'm not like hardcore online. I don't play Call of Duty online. I don't play uh, Fortnite or anything like that. I was trying to get into Minecraft with my kids. My kids love Minecraft, and it's just, honestly, it's a game I respect and I can appreciate, but it's a game I don't connect with. I think it's a generational gap. I don't quite understand the point of Minecraft, to be quite honest. Not knocking it or anything like that, but I don't understand it as well as my kids do, and I'm thankful my kids like it because I think it's a good game for kids. It's not violent, things like that. So gaming, at the end of the day, games mean a lot to me. It means nostalgia for the retro games, modern games. It means an opportunity for me to connect with my kids and bond with my kids in that regard. And it's an opportunity to really appreciate, having a new appreciation into the indie games. Having been an indie game developer myself, I have a fond appreciation for the work and how much time it takes to release a game. So I'm finding myself checking out games that are overlooked, right? Games that are kind of under the radar. So I'll go on Steam and I'll look for sales, for example. I'll kind of look for games that I think are fun to play. And just whether the game is great or maybe I don't care for it, I respect it because I understand the effort and someone took the time to release that game at the end of the day. So that's kind of what games mean to me. I'm kind of curious what video games mean to you. It's certainly an important part of my life. It brought me into this gaming community on YouTube, so I'm forever thankful for that, eternally thankful for that. And I've made some ton of new friends. I've met incredible people. I've created a gaming event through video games and through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears doing that. So it's been a lot of fun. So appreciate you guys taking the moment out of your life and your busy day to hear what I have to say. Please leave a comment. Thank you for your support, guys, as always. We'll see you guys soon. Take care and game on.